This is my reaction video to the Ravens drafting Zay Flowers in the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft on a night when there was, half a dozen teams that made trades and some teams made multiple trades. The Ravens were not one of them. They continue to be an outlier, at least in terms of the first round, and do what we don't expect consistently. I think it was Stacy in our Discord chat was talking about that. The Ravens are going to do kind of the opposite of what is expected, and it's going to work out for them. And I think it did once again. Continue to be an outlier with first-round picks. They picked a 5'9", 185-pound, but strong, explosive wide receiver, slot receiver, just a dangerous guy, home run hitter in Zay Flowers. A year after they picked a 6'4", 220-pound safety and a center in the first round who apparently has too short of arms and isn't athletic enough to handle NFL defensive tackles. The Texans and Lions made a lot of noise, along with the Seahawks. In my opinion, the Ravens signed or at least secured the rights to the two most explosive football players tonight, and that's Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. The news about Lamar's signing was amazing, and to me now, Lamar, Todd Monken, Coach Harbaugh, Ravens fans have been given everything they want offensively. There's no excuses from here on out about weapons, about scheme or whatever. Yet to be seen, obviously, the offensive install with Todd Monken. But you go back and watch the film from Georgia, Tampa Bay, or even Cleveland, and there's plenty of opportunities there for guys to make plays in space, horizontally, vertically. Plenty of weapons here, almost too many in some cases. Now, I love the Zay Flowers pick. It's less of a safe pick than Joey Porter Jr., who I thought is, what we were going to take at 22 as it came up. There was just so much talent on the board. Clearly, there was two things at play, or at least one at play. The Cardinals traded twice, and so the Hopkins trade, as it got closer to 22, seemed like it was just not going to occur. The Cardinals essentially swapped pick 34 and 33 and 3 and 6. So I guess it could have still been on the board. But at that point, Zay Flowers is there. JSN was almost there. He went one pick earlier to the Chargers, I believe. You have talented guys, far less salary, who you can have for a longer period of time, 4 or 5 years with the fifth-year option. I think it made a lot of sense. Now, if you ask me with the Lamar signing, and I don't pretend to know all of the details of the salary, other than it's 185 guaranteed and 260 total. So, but I don't know the specifics of each year. Maybe that's been announced and I just missed it. It stands to reason for me that it looks like the first year cap hit's going to be lower, and guys like Rock Ya-Sin or even Marcus Peters could still be in play because we need an outside corner. But I give the Ravens credit for going with the less safe pick. Not that Zay Flowers isn't clearly, going to be a player that's going to succeed no matter what team he goes to. I think he is. I think Eric DeCosta said it well. He said he was one of the top players we had on our board, and we just didn't think that the picks we were being offered warranted not selecting Zay Flowers. Because I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, I think the Ravens went down to about a minute 30 or a minute left before they made their selection. At this point, I'm not sure. Seems to me the timing of the Lamar signing, though, indicated that we were looking at a trade, or a trade was coming. And it just didn't happen, at least not with the Ravens for once. And then as they picked, like I said, the clock got down to 1 minute. 3 teams traded immediately thereafter. I think the Jags and Giants swapped picks. And then I think the Jags traded back a second time with the Bills to 28, I believe, or 27, I believe. So it stands to reason that we probably got a call from the Giants, maybe the Bills or the Jaguars, but being AFC teams, I'm not sure that we would have even fielded those calls. Who knows? I'm guessing we got a call from the Giants. Maybe there was still discussion with the Cardinals going on, but the Ravens loved the pick. They brought Zay Flowers in. Clearly other teams did. I think the Patriots brought Zay Flowers in for a late visit. I think the Chiefs did as well. I'm kind of glad we got him and we didn't let him fall to the Chiefs potentially. Don't get me wrong, I would have loved, I'm sure you would have too, if we traded 22 for Hopkins and 34, well, actually, I guess at that point it became 33 with their trades, with the Cardinals' multiple trades. Maybe it's still in play, the Hopkins thing, but I'm going to be honest with you. Personally, I hope it's not. At this point, we've got Bateman, OBJ, Flowers, and Duvernay as receivers. Shamar Bridges in the fold as well. I really like him. Hope he gets an opportunity. Andrews, Likely, and Kohler as tight ends. Not even talking about the running backs. Who does all the targets go to? Now, you may think I'm criticizing picking Zay Flowers. I'm not. I'm actually saying that's why I think it's a brilliant selection. In my opinion, Zay Flowers doesn't need a whole lot of touches to have an impact. Some of those other guys, Bateman, OBJ, Andrews, when I say they need the ball, what I mean is their talent warrants them getting 6, 8, 9 targets, probably for at least 50% of the games next year. The ball is going to be moved around a lot, similar to a good NBA offense, in my opinion. Zay Flowers, to me, doesn't need 6, 7, 8, 9 touches to have an impact. He only needs one. Now, I'm not saying he should only get one touch a game. 4, 5, 6 maybe makes sense within the context of everyone that we have on this offense. I think the guy that it really helps out a lot is, pictured on the left-hand side of the screen. It's Lamar Jackson. He's the player on our team who can make something out of nothing. Pass rush defeats our pass pro, and Lamar can turn it into an 8, 10, 12-yard game. Don't get me wrong. Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Devin Duvernay, Likely, Kohler, OBJ, those guys can make plays. To me, the only two players, I'm excluding running backs here, so I'm not talking about J.K. Dobbins, who can clearly do this as well. The only two players that we've got at quarterback, receiver, tight end, who can make something out of nothing, who can turn what should be a negative 2-yard gain into an 8-yard gain, or maybe even 10 or 12, is Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. Not that those other guys aren't talented. I think we've got a hell of an offensive collection of talent. You let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree. I think Zay Flowers is the type of guy that could get 5 touches in a game for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, he might go 2 or 3 weeks and not score a touchdown. No doubt about it. Right? It's the NFL, high-level defensive players. He's going to change the coverages we see, which primarily, this is a oversimplification, but on first and second down, run pass downs, we generally saw quarter split field coverages, safeties back at 10, 12, corners at 7, somewhere in there, able to play off coverage, eyes on the quarterback, keep their eyes in the backfield, react to the ball being thrown, and or, a run concept, essentially playing a 7-man front, but getting 8, 9 guys involved with the run. It's a misnomer and inaccurate for people to say safeties were always in the box. That's not true. Safeties were generally back at 10, 12 against us, but at playing at such depth, they were able to have their eyes in the backfield, be a little bit less disciplined, in my opinion. Zay Flowers changes that dynamic. Todd Monken and his offense is going to change that dynamic already. And I think Zay Flowers is going to make the coverages we see on first and second down less predictable, and the coverages we see on third down, a lot more man, some press man, don't get me wrong, more dangerous for the defense. Zay Flowers, who's he gonna draw if he's on the field with OBJ, Bateman, and Mark Andrews? I think in terms of man-to-man, which is the Ravens generally see on third downs, not on first and second, at least under Greg Roman's offense, it's going to change the dynamic, change a lot for us as fans and people who, like myself, who try to evaluate the game. There's going to be a higher level of trying to understand what the defense is doing. I think we were a little simplistic offensively, particularly in the second half of 2022, and I think defenses, could be a little more simple as well. In terms of overall targets, huge fan of it. Explosive ability, Zay Flowers is a guy who can make big plays, not just score touchdowns, but I'm talking about a guy who can gain more yards than he should on a particular play. On a 3rd and 6 where maybe he's supposed to be tackled, at least if you go off his college film, he's a guy who can break tackles and make people miss. He's tough as hell. He believes. When you watch Zay Flowers play football, whether it's film from 2022, 2021, or even as far back, I had 2 games from 2020. And the guy just believes, and he makes plays. He makes plays that maybe he shouldn't in terms of elevating to go get the football. I think the matchups he's going to see are favorable for him. Additionally, with some health concerns, let's put it that way, about Bateman and maybe OBJ, but OBJ looks completely healthy, at least in the workouts we've seen. Zay Flowers is a guy who could play outside. And in a 17-game season, it should not surprise us that we may get a game or 2 or 3 where Bateman, OBJ, or Duvernay doesn't play. There's no reason why Zay Flowers can't step outside, play to Z, play to X in certain formations. Smart guy, very versatile, clearly has high character. If you look at some of the NIL money that he was offered to leave BC, I believe before the 2022 season, but I could be wrong there. If I remember correct, $550,000 was the number I read. It's been a while since I read that article, so feel free to correct me in the comment section. In my opinion, we do still need an outside corner. Whether we sign one, Rock Ya-Sin, Marcus Peters, like I mentioned earlier, or we draft one, we're sitting on pick 86 now. I think it's entirely possible that the Hopkins trade is out of the question, and I offer to you that it should be. Unless we're trading one of our receivers to essentially, offload those targets to Hopkins, I don't think we have enough balls to throw around. If we have Hopkins, Bateman, Andrews, OBJ, Flowers, Likely, Kohler, and Duvernay, somebody's got to go. If we stay in pick at 86, you got Eli Ricks, Julius Brents, Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Turner, Clark Phillips III. I'm not sure that any of those guys is there at 86. We all, myself included, underestimated the quality of the offensive linemen that were going to be drafted, and I think that kind of pushed position players down further. JSN went at 21. Zay Flowers went at 22. Other guys got pushed even further down. Miles Murphy, Joey Porter Jr. hasn't even been drafted yet as I make this video at about 12:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eli Ricks, Julius Brents, Tyreek Stevenson, DJ Turner, Clark Phillips, one of those guys, or Rock Ya-Sin or Marcus Peters. Me personally, if we've cleared the cap space, which it seems like the Lamar signing probably did that, I would take Rock Ya-Sin or Marcus Peters in a heartbeat, and then maybe draft, whoever the best player is available in round 3. I think there's some pretty damn good football players available, some guys who didn't get drafted in the first round, and some guys who slid down, and guys who got drafted early. I'm going to try to do a video about the Texans draft, round 1 draft, and the Lions one as well. Let me know what you guys think of the Zay Flowers pick. I thought it was a great selection. I got no complaints. Personally, my gut told me to take Joey Porter at 22 because I think he's a hell of a football player, and I think he's being underrated for whatever reason now. Seen a lot of Penn State film and love his game, but I had 6 games of Zay Flowers. I think I used 4 of them for a Twitter film study. Absolutely loved everything he did. I think the Ravens and Todd Monken are going to put him in position to make plays, and every week I think there'll be 2 or 3 concepts that we put in for Zay Flowers to get the ball by design, and I don't think it'll just be screens or bubbles. Zay Flowers is a balanced football player. He's not just a guy who's going to catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage on screens and depend on blocking downfield and maybe his athleticism to make people miss. He's a legitimate wide receiver. The Ravens did a great job picking him. I believe he was the 3rd wide receiver selected. I misspoke earlier. The Chargers took Quentin Johnston, not JSN, so my apologies for that. They generally are taking bigger receivers. Look, I think it's a great selection, great start for the Ravens, and I'm on record as saying I think that we got the 2 most explosive guys that were available tonight, either signed or secured. In the case of Lamar being signed for 5 years, and in the case of Zay Flowers, we now hold his rights for 4 years with the 5th-year option. I think it's a great start for the Ravens. Kind of surprising that so many trades were made, so many people were moving up and down, and the Ravens chose not to trade back, but give credit to the front office, whoever made the decision, Eric DeCosta, Ozzie Newsome, whoever, to stay there and pick Zay Flowers, because I think you had safer picks that were there, or the possibility to trade back, and in this case, the Ravens chose not to, and I applaud them for that. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with some of my thoughts in the comments section. If you think other people might enjoy my reaction video, please consider sharing the link on social media to help the video get more reach.